Welcome to Carol's Art Adventures. Today I'm with a very inspiring lady. It's Wendy.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about other kind of creative forms that she does and think that you might want to consider trying. So let's get started. Okay, so do you want to tell me where you're from or where you were born, just about your background?
I was born in Hong Kong. My father was English, my mum's Hong Kong Chinese, and we lived there until I was 3, and then we emigrated to the UK, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. Do you want to tell me about your style? Today, you're dressed quite creatively and interestingly. I'd like to hear about it.
Well, it's evolved. So there was a time. Now I'm really into my bright colours. But there was a time in the job that I did where I conformed perhaps more to what society might expect in that particular profession. So the black trousers and shirts, and my hair was long and straight, nothing like this. And it was only really when I left that profession that I had the space to actually experiment and wear things I wanted to wear rather than what I thought I ought to wear. So yes, it's changed quite a bit over the last few years. And that was partly because I wasn't able to shop in shops that I used to shop, so I spent more time in charity shops, and you just pick something off the shelf and think, oh, I like this. And yes, it's kind of gone from there. So, but obviously, as you can see, maybe not quite so much today, but colour is very important to me. So I think there's too much doom and gloom in the world, so I like to wear something bright and colourful every day and just bring that little bit of happiness and cheer. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you think there was a catalyst for the change? Because you said there was a point when you changed from conforming and being very, what's expected. Was there a catalyst for you for that change?
I think it was just it was the freedom of not being able to do what I wanted to do. So that was during that period that I got all my tattoos done. So you can't see, but I do have a lot of tattoos.
Let's do one.
So that's just just one
They're
of them.
fantastic.
So so I've got on the ankles, neck, and ears, and so forth. So and that they're quite addictive, as anyone with tattoos will know. Once you start, you can't stop. And it was okay for me to have that because I didn't have to worry about what the boss might think. So that helped a lot in terms of being able to have that freedom to try these things, permanent things.
Permanent things, yeah. It's like, it's not something that you can get. Well, you can get rid of it, but if you're ready for pain. Outside of your creative style and your tattoos and things, do you do other creative pursuits, or what other inspirations inspire you?
I played the piano since I was 8, so not particularly very artistic in terms of painting or drawing or anything like that, but the piano is sort of my main creative outlet, I suppose.
So like you musically creative, it's like your creative outlet. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, a bit like with the clothes. Started off, I was classically trained, so playing classical music and working your way up through the grades. And it was only sort of latterly that I started to play things I actually wanted to play, that I liked. So that was more impressionist music and contemporary classical music, which impressionist music, a bit like the art world, is colourful. So I suppose there's been a bit of a link there.
As you become more colourful, so has your music. Yeah. And would you say that anybody inspired you, creatively or musically, anyone in your world or life?
Musically, I suppose, a lot of people might have heard of Ludovico Einaudi. He's a contemporary classical Italian composer, and I've become more interested. There's somebody called Fabrizio Patellini, who's less known commercially, so he has his own recording label, and I I'd just love to be able to play everything he's ever written, because his music is just beautiful.
Wow.
So you've been quite inspired by him. And also when I've written my own music, and sometimes you listen to it afterwards and you think, oh, that sounds a little bit like this and a little bit by that. I usually write on the bottom of it, this was inspired by, because it will often have similar sounds to whatever I happen to be listening to at the time. So not that I'm copying them.
Do you consider yourself creative?
I would like to think so. But I think when you say the word creative, you think more of people that are artistic, I think of anyway.
Yeah,
so I think you're really creative in terms
but like I think you're really creative. So, you know, the point of, you know, this video is to kind of like that there's more than just one form of creativity, that, you know, like you're very creative to me because you express yourself in what you wear, your tattoos, your music, you're genuinely a self-expressed person. That to me is a creative person. So that's the way I see it, you know. I don't know if you've thought about it like that, but
Not really. I appreciate something in that.
Yeah, I think there is. Do you consider yourself to be alternative?
I think I would be described as being alternative, but it isn't something that I strive for, so I don't think, but I want to look alternative, so I'll get another tattoo or a nose ring or dye my hair blue or something. It's just, these are just the colours that I
Blue
like.
as opposed to pink.
I've been considering it.
That's cool, it's nice.
So, but I'm not trying to be alternative, and I don't go to alternative shops to buy things because I know that that's alternative. So, so I think maybe on the outset people might think I'm slightly alternative, but then, and actually it's interesting because people that I do meet at parties, or social gatherings, and they see how I look and they ask what music I'm into, and they often think I'll be into heavy metal, which some heavy metal music's pretty cool. But when I tell them that I actually like contemporary classical music, I usually ask, guess what type of music you think I'm into. So they either think that or they think that I'm into sort of pop music. So they're quite surprised that I like my contemporary classical stuff. So so in that sense, perhaps I'm not considered alternative in the music sense, but maybe
well, I think it is quite alternative to classical. You know, like what you're saying is like even being alternative can be kind of has its own limitations and structures, but for being you, for being Wendy, being who you are, it's alternative because people see it doesn't fit into a box, or it doesn't fit into a kind of image of alternative or an image of what's expected, like a normal person. You know, not that you're not normal, you know, I'm not saying that. But it's interesting that being yourself isn't is seen as alternative, but it's not alternative, it's just being yeah. That's really interesting as well, that, you know, as you've evolved with your style and your tattoos and everything that you do, that your music has as well. So I hope that continues to evolve through time. And I just wondered, did you have advice for people out there who are who think that, like you said it earlier in the conversation, that being creative is only you have to draw or paint to be creative, whatever their creative interest is, but they're kind of holding back from it for one reason or another? What advice would you give to them?
Well, I suppose maybe in terms of style, what a better word, you know, people often say, oh, I'm be brave enough to wear such bright colours, and or maybe just start off with something small. It might be a pretty scarf or a bold pair of earrings that you think, oh, I couldn't get away with that. Well, just try wearing them just with your regular stuff and see how it feels, and then gradually, as you get more confident, you start to think outside the box, and that will evolve. And as well, not looking, just personally, it's not looking to the magazines are telling me that I need to be wearing this colour or this season. And just if you see something that you like, just buy it and wear it. And sort of the more creative side of things is if there's something that you've always wanted to try but maybe been a bit nervous about it, just give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? Or talk to people maybe that know a little bit more about that, or go to a class together.
You don't have to be professional overnight. As you say, you can evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the, you know, in terms, some of the things that I buy, sometimes I customise, and it's nothing, you know, nothing like what Carol does, making her own clothes, but a dress, I think, oh, that would look nice with some lace on the bottom, and just buy a stretch of lace. It might take me about 3 hours to sew it on, but at the end my dress is different to everyone else who bought that dress in that shop. So and you feel proud as well when you look and think, oh, I did that. And I think that's it, you know, if you're creating something, you know, it could even, it doesn't have to be music or art or fashion, you know, even baking or something. It's at the end of it, you've produced something, you've made something, and you can look at that and be proud of it. So, and that makes you feel good, and then when you feel good, you want to do more of it. So I'd say to people, just give it a go.
Yeah, definitely. They are quite self-expressed. Like, some people can be quite confronted, or they can be, you know, they can have alternative kind of, they'll be like, oh, she's probably like this or like that. Like, I'm sure some people will embrace how you look and they'll love it, but some people are very stuck in a kind of a different way of thinking. How do you manage in those kind of situations? Like,
in some ways it's been an advantage, because we all have prejudices against everyone, and perhaps when I was looked more straight-laced, people who were more alternative wouldn't bother with you so much, or talk to you, because they think, oh, you know, she's straight-laced. So now I find that those people are more open to talking to me, and they appear to be comfortable talking to me. So in that respect, it's been an advantage. But then maybe, you know, thinking more of elderly clients, you know, they might be quite surprised by your appearance, and they have preconceived ideas of how you might come across. And then, but usually once you start talking to people and they realise that you're just a human being like they are, they kind of forget the pink hair and the tattoos and the bright colours, and just talking to me, just to Wendy. So yes, it can have its advantages, and it can have its disadvantages.
I think what it is to me is like that you can, out of looking and being who you are, you can have some surprising and interesting interactions. And it's amazing that people who are alternative still have their own little kind of things where they wouldn't have spoken to you before, but they would speak to you now. So I think it's already like, it's such a mixed bag of things. So it's like, it's interesting that you do say that, because I'd never actually thought of it like that, you know, that even people who look different or, you know, do something that's unusual are confronted by speaking to people who they think don't, but they might do, you know. Because if you work in a professional world, you have to look a certain way sometimes, and sometimes your creativity is stifled because you work in a professional environment, but that doesn't mean that it's not there, that you don't have that something to bring out. And, you know, I think out of this conversation, I can definitely see the need for being more open in, you know, sharing your creativity with people, whether you're alternative or not alternative.
And I'm very fortunate that I work in an environment now where it's okay to have bright pink short hair and not have to cover my tattoos up with a blouse or something. And I think that will probably influence any line of work that I go into now, because I wouldn't want to go work in an environment where I had to wear a uniform, or I was only allowed to wear one pair of earrings, or wasn't allowed to wear my rings or nail polish, or being told what I can and can't wear. That would quite severely influence what kind of job I went into, because I wouldn't want anyone telling me you can't do this, you have to look a certain way, because you feel comfortable.
Even like, you know, for industries, even creative industries, sometimes they need to open their doors as well. Even like the image, every door needs to be open more. Body image, creative image, everything needs a wider feel. I feel. Do you?
Yeah.
That's really great. Thank you, like, for sharing those tips. I hope everybody out there will be inspired by Wendy as much as I am. So thank you for watching. Please remember to give it a like if you like it, and to subscribe. Happy being creative. Bye for now. Bye.